Hello, welcome to the Black Spruce Knitting Podcast. My name is Allie. I'm here with my dog, Darwin, and today I'm somewhere different. I'm in my office. I really like filming in my living room because I like the view outside, but I know that the lighting isn't great, so I thought that I could spend my next few episodes trying some different areas in my house and sort of seeing what works. So this is where I am this week. I've my books and Chris's books on the shelves, and also some of my knitting stuff right now is not all of it, but some of it's in the shelf. And I thought that I could share a couple works in progress. I'm on a mission right now to try to finish as many old works in progress as possible because I have a bunch. I used to really knit like one big thing and one small thing at a time. And then this year I've just been like casting on left and right. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to finish things. I have a lot of projects that I want to cast on. I have a couple sweater quantities of yarn and plans for them, but I'm trying really hard to finish some stuff before I cast on new things. So I thought I would share a couple things. I do have some finished objects, but I need to weave in the ends, so I'm not going to share them this episode, but keep your eyes peeled if you're interested in seeing more. This week is just going to be two works in progress. So the first one, I realized in addition to the seaweed socks that I talked about last week, I had a pair of vanilla socks that were almost done that I cast on in April. Chris and I, once we were both fully vaccinated, went to visit friends in Philadelphia where we used to live. And so I brought some socks as like easy mindless knitting. And this is the yarn. It's Malabrigo sock yarn. Let's see if we can, in Potion, I think. And I have two almost finished socks. And the thing about it is that I started using this kind of scrap yarn. I have some right here. This is like a scrap yarn, I don't remember what it is, that I started using for the cuffs and the heels. But then I decided that I wanted to use this for my Cozy Classic Light Fade. So one of the heels has the scrap yarn and one is just the Malabrigo. I'm okay with that. These are gonna be worn under boots. They're gonna be worn in the winter. I'm the only one who will know. I actually think it's kind of funny. So a little bit, tiny bit chaotic, but they're a little different. I think that's actually why I stopped, is because I wanted to use this yarn for something else. But I was like, I'm just gonna finish it with the yarn that I have. So these are just 72 stitch knit on size 1.5 US socks, 3x3 rib cuff, gusset heel. I have decided that next time I knit vanilla socks, I'm gonna try either an afterthought heel or a fish lips kiss heel, because I always just do like a regular gusset heel. There's probably many mistakes, but if you notice, don't say anything. And I think that they're nice socks. I knit a lot of vanilla socks with like leftover fingering yarn or fingering yarn that doesn't have a home, just because we wear them and we prefer wearing them. They're so comfortable. And other than like the heel and the toe, they're great just kind of in the round circular knitting. So these are my Malabrigo, a little bit asymmetrical socks. Yeah, almost done. Gonna finish them, free up these needles. It's gonna be great. Another project that I started, I actually had mentioned that I started the Anna Johanna Mystery Knit Along. The project is called Cajo. If you have not seen it but do want it to be a surprise, or if you're working on it, maybe skip this part. I was keeping up with it and then I stopped because I just wanted to work on other things. And honestly, I'm not a great shawl knitter. I've only knit like one other shawl because I find the long rows for me are a little bit tedious. but I've seen the finished shawl now and I think it looks really nice. There's one thing that I'm gonna change about it. It has like a little I-cord loop that I'm gonna leave off, but I decided I wanted to finish it. So in this Knitting Nelly bag that is really lovely, that I scooped up at some point. So I didn't know what it looked like when I started. And let's see, it's in an awkward place, but I'm gonna try my best to show it. Here it is. And so we have 3 colors. This is Less Traveled Yarn and Paloma, which is their like silk base, and it's called Alchemy of Herbs. Can you see? Is the color coming out? It's like kind of a cream. Ooh, the light just changed. Cream with like lots of like teeny tiny little like colorful dots. It's really fun. This teal is Plymouth Yarn's Yakima. This is a little bright for me, but the pattern called for a pop of color. And then I actually dyed this in just sort of like this is just like a superwash cashmere blend base. I dyed this yarn. I am new to dyeing, and I've made a lot of yarns that I don't like. That's something that I'm working on, is like really trying to be consistent about getting yarns that I'm excited about and will use. I'm not gonna ever sell yarn, it's just for myself. But I was happy with this one. So it's this garter stitch shawl, and it's, you know, knit in parts, and it kind of goes every which way. I think it will look really cool when it's done. It's definitely a lot of like keeping the faith during the process. What was cool is that during this part, to determine if you were going to knit one of the pops of color, you rolled a 6-sided die, and if it was a 6, then you did the pop of color, otherwise you didn't. And I didn't cheat, except that after I did one, I didn't roll because I didn't want 2 right next to each other. But it's a lot of short rows. Yeah, it's an interesting construction. I definitely recently, like yesterday, messed up on some short rows, and I'm gonna keep going because I think it's gonna be fine, and I don't feel like ripping back. You know, I definitely have had some like how is this gonna work out to be a shawl shape? But it is going to work out to be a shawl shape, and I'm excited. And you know, these colors are very much my colors. I'm like I think I've said this, I'm like jewel toned, natural toned, neutral. The teal for me is quite bright, but because there's not too much of it, I think it looks really fun and it blends in. So I've said this in the first podcast, but Cajo, I think the inspiration for this pattern was like the sun peeking its rays over the horizon, like at sunrise. And I feel like it captures that. So yeah, this will be like lovely to wear when I finish it. I will finish it. I thought I was gonna like put it on hold for a really long time. I was like, oh, I don't know. But then something came over me the other day and I was like, I'm gonna start knitting it again. And I am feeling excited about it. So I really love Anna Johanna's patterns, and I want to knit a couple of the other ones. I'm just not a shawl knitter, so this was kind of an ambitious thing for me to do. You know, and I think something about me is that I tend not to rip back when I make a mistake unless it's like really going to affect the pattern, or if it's really egregious. It's better for me just to keep going, because sometimes if I stop, then I'm like, I'm never gonna finish. So, you know, when I make a little mistake, I tend to just keep going. That's my style. I understand that's not a lot of people's style. I think I'm an imperfect knitter. That is my knitting style. So, Cajo shawl, mystery knit along, my second work in progress that I'm feeling determined to finish. I'm really making my way through. I have just these 2 more sweaters and then a pair of socks that I just started. That feels like a doable amount of works in progress. But I really want to cast on a sweater for Chris. So maybe I'll do that. The last thing I wanted to share was that in my last episode, I mentioned that I had bought some roving from those wild sheep in Maine. And I dyed it and I spun it. And this is what I have. So for me, this is an extremely bright color. I don't really tend to wear colors like this. Like, you probably can't really see my yarn, but I don't wear bright colors, although I do love spinning them for some reason. So I don't know what this is gonna be. I was really happy when I dyed it because it didn't felt at all. And when you're dyeing roving, since hot water and agitation, like moving something around, will felt wool, you have to be really careful when you're dyeing roving. And I felt like it was really successful. And I just ordered some Knit Picks roving to practice dyeing and spinning. So I'm really happy that it didn't felt. And I like the colors, but I don't know that I would wear them. So now I have to think about what I'm gonna use this for, or if I'm going to gift it to someone. I would say I haven't actually finished it yet, so it needs a soak. And it's reasonably consistent. I'm still a new spinner. You know, there's some inconsistencies. I would call it maybe a DK or a worsted. So it could be something fun. It might be lovely as like a contrast color for something, but I don't know. Like, I really picked peach and pink and like tangerine as my dyeing colors, but great to know that I can dye roving and spin it. So those are kind of the knitting projects that I wanted to mention. This is kind of a short episode. Let me know what you think. If you think it's cool that I filmed in a different place, feel free to also tell me about what you're knitting. Do you have any works in progress that you're getting done right now before the cold months in the Northern Hemisphere or the warm months in the Southern Hemisphere? Yeah, what's on your needles? I would love to hear. So thank you so much for watching, and yeah, I hope you have a great day. Take care.